What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about making interesting characters. And so basically I want to take you guys through my process, how I develop characters that I think are pretty interesting and unique, and kind of what that looks like. I'm going to take you through a couple steps that I like to do, starting out with these postcards. I've showed these in past videos I've made, but what I like to do first to get into making a character is sketch with pen on small pieces of paper to try to get an idea across. And before I started this video, I kind of got into it without really thinking, and I made this guy, this like cool starhead dude, with my pen brush. And I'm gonna be making stuff like this basically, and trying to come up with some more cool ideas on these little pieces of paper. When making a character, the way I kind of like to go about it is I like to think of one unique thing, I guess I would say, one unique thing to start off a character that kind of develops him, and then I can start building off of that. And so for this guy, the first thing that I thought of was a star head, and then I took that element and just let it see where it would take me. And I think that when making a character, especially like a fantasy character, depending on which way you want to take it, you know, if you're not doing a fantasy character like I like to do, you know, you can keep the characters very simple, rely on little details like human expression and, you know, hair and stuff like that to kind of define them. But, you know, with something like that, you need to have the story build the character more than the way they look. And for me, I like to do both. I think the story is also a great thing, but with fantasy characters, you have the ability to do anything. You can make the character look any way you could possibly imagine. So your ideas that, you know, you may think are stupid may actually be great for a special, unique character. I think it takes starting off finding that one thing that comes to your brain that you think would be cool for a character. So that's what I'll do right now. I'm gonna think of some weird element of a character and try to build off of that. I'm thinking like a floating head and like floating limbs, like they're connected by like, I don't know, some like floaty magic is kind of what I'm thinking in my head. So I'll just go into it. The one element that I'm really imagining is like kind of his head floating, I guess, and then maybe his arms, but the thing that I'm really imagining is just the head right now. So that's what I'll start with. Now I like to start with this brush pen that I have here. It's a really nice feeling brush, and it has the ability to do really thick lines and really thin lines, which is really nice when you're drawing. Most of the time, for me at least, these drawings always end up sucking. These first ones that I do, they're always very bad and just kind of weird. But every time I do it, almost always, it ends up kind of working out in the end in some kind of way I didn't expect. I end up using these sketches. Even the ones I don't like, I can come back and turn them into something that I do like, which is really cool. And I guess what it means is that, you know, every sketch you make is valuable. No matter how you view it, if you view it bad or if you view it good, like, it's always valuable because you can always take your sketches and bring them to life in some way. It's really just about the fact that it can inspire you to, you know, turn your ideas into something that's actually good. Even though the sketch isn't really going how I want it to right now, it doesn't matter because all I'm trying to do here is get an idea, and the idea that I'm creating here, I actually do kind of like. You can refine these ideas later. You're really just trying to get your idea into these little cards and seeing, you know, what you come up with. All right, there's my first character. Before you click off, just trust the process. He's pretty rough, but I think it has come across in a way that I like though. Even though the drawing's rough and it's weird, I think this idea is pretty interesting and pretty funny. It reminds me of like something from Adventure Time, I guess, or something like that. I'm not trying to get anything perfect here. We're just making ideas. What's interesting though is the idea of a floating head kind of took me down this weird path where I ended up thinking like of gems and like stones. What's interesting is you have to accept the ideas that come into your head and just go with them and see what happens, because what your brain is hiding underneath the idea is probably interesting. And so when you're coming up with characters, you have to kind of believe that your ideas that you think are stupid aren't stupid. You have to say, okay, maybe I'll give this idea a chance. Your ideas might be great. I think that my favorite characters in like cartoons and stuff like that are really wacky and just kind of random. Like all the characters in The Amazing World of Gumball, I think are a perfect example. Like they take a wacky idea, like just a weird idea, they accept that it's weird and they go all in with it. I think that a fun character that doesn't make any sense but bring something unique to the table is kind of a better way to go, I think. If your mind wants to go a way that's out of the norm and weird, allow it to do that, because I think you'll create more unique art that people, look at and think, oh wow, that's interesting. But yeah, let's do the next one. I'm thinking like a flower pot guy. I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna just go for it. It's so freaking weird that I'm drawing this right now. It's the first idea that came to my head, and so you gotta take your ideas and give them a chance every time, because you'll never know if something's good until you actually draw it. There's my flower pot guy. He is a flower living inside a pot body. That is pretty crazy that I just drew this. This is pretty funny. Yeah, there's another example right there. This is a pretty interesting character I got right here of a flower dude in a pot. Very unexpected, very cool. I'm not really looking for quality right now. I'm really looking for just an idea and trying to come up with things that I like in the idea. And so I have elements that I really like here, even though the drawing is kind of rough and not good looking. There's ideas I like. I like that his body's a pot. I like this like flower belt thing I got here. I like how his arms are these like veiny, tiny things with leaves on them. I like that there's 2 leaves going out of each side. I like that he's got this robe thing on. What I'm trying to say here is that these are ideas I think that are good when they're not drawn good. You have to convince yourself that it's still worth it in your mind, and remind yourself, okay, hey, I don't like how this sketch turned out maybe, but do I like my ideas? And when you're drawing something from an idea in your head, you probably will like the idea still, because you thought it was good enough in the first place to try to draw it. If you like the idea and you like some elements of your sketch, then that's a success. Then you won. You don't have to feel bad, feel disappointed in how it turned out. You won because you found things that you like through sketching the artwork you just made. Just don't allow yourself to feel like you failed when you're sketching things, because you're getting so much out of this process, so many ideas on the paper, which is really all that matters in the first place. Yeah, there's my character right there. It's pretty funny. I'm happy with that. Let's do the next one. I'm thinking like a microphone head guy with like an interface as the body. I'm gonna just try it and see what happens. All right, there's my next character. He's pretty funny looking. I'm happy with it. This character sort of reminds me of a game called Little Big Planet. I don't know why. I guess it's the characters in that game. They're all made up of like weird items in this cool way. And I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of that for some reason. But yeah, this is how I start my character design process right here. I make characters on these little sheets of paper like this. Then I develop them and try to make them look how I want them to look. And I think for this video, I'm going to choose, I'm gonna choose the flower pot guy. I'm gonna develop this and try to turn him into a refined character that I like. Just a really basic picture of him, like him just standing like this. Once you refine the idea and you get it crisp, get a really nice drawing of your character, then you can start, using him in more things and more drawings in different ways. But I really like to get a basic kind of stance down first when I'm drawing a character. But yeah, let's do it. So when I'm drawing a character, at this point, I like to use pencil. And so I'm gonna be using my pencil and sort of, erasing, refining, doing whatever I need to do to try to make it look how I really want it to. We're gonna get right into it. All right, I got my pencil sketch down of my guy here. It's still really rough. I didn't even add some of the details I like these leaves on his arm or anything like that. I just got the pencil down, and then I'm gonna start going to the pen, but first I'm gonna do like a light erase to my character here. Let's try to get rid of some of the pencil. And so I like to erase a little bit so I don't start following lines that are wrong maybe, because these are a lot thicker than the pen. So if I start copying these lines too closely, I'll probably start, messing things up a little bit. I think I'm gonna start with detailing the face. I'm just gonna start just kind of going for it and just trying to get the details right. I think that doing this way, where you just kind of get the idea down and see if you like it, is really good, because I wasn't afraid of messing this one up. Now I feel a lot more comfortable when I'm drawing this one, because I already have the idea down. I already have the idea planned out. I'm not going into this blind. You know, I was going into this blind, but I didn't care about the results. I wasn't afraid of messing things up. When you do this in this order, you'll feel a lot more comfortable making your character in this step than you would without doing any of this. If you just hopped into it and tried to make things perfect right away, you would have had trouble probably. You would probably kind of be afraid of messing things up. But for me personally, I feel a lot more comfortable after doing a sketch like this and then going to this. I feel a lot more free to just draw and let things go the way they go. All right, there's my flower guy. Pretty happy with it. I think it turned out very nice. It's pretty cool to see the process, to see how, you know, my character comes together and becomes something sort of coherent, I guess you could say. It comes together, you know, it works. All the things I feel like work together in a pretty nice way. And this sketch isn't, or this drawing isn't perfect in any way. There's a lot wrong with it, but it was really nice to get like a really refined version of him and kind of pick the things that I like and try to refine the things that I like. And it's pretty interesting to see how, you know, a little sketch I made here can turn into something that I think looks a lot better. What's cool about this process is, you know, you can use these characters in the future and let them kind of define your art style or your creativity to a community or whatever, or to yourself. These characters can be fun and you can always go back to them, especially when you don't have anything in mind to draw, when you really feel lost in what to draw. These character cards that you create, you know, you can go back to them and draw the same character in different ways, which I think is really fun. You have like a collection of characters that define you and you can come back to, which is always nice. Where I'd go from here would be to just start using this character, start drawing it in different poses and interesting scenes and kind of develop artwork with it. That's what I would do next, and I encourage you to do the same too. If you followed along and created a character like I did here, I encourage you to start using that character, and in the moments when you don't know what to draw, when you're lost, go back to the characters that you create. But yeah, that is my video on creating interesting and unique characters. I hope this helped get you on a path that maybe will help you create characters that you like, that are interesting. I really hope that this video will help artists out there kind of develop their characters and feel more free with their imagination. Don't be afraid to make ugly art, ugly characters that, you know, you don't like, because even though they're ugly in your sketches, the ideas that they have might be really, really good for art in the future. They might be amazing ideas if drawn a different way, and so you have to save these ideas, and the way you do that is by sketching like this. Thank you to all the people who have subscribed once again. I'm so grateful that all of y'all have decided to check out my content and enjoy it. I'm very happy about that, and it's crazy to hear all these comments and how these videos have helped people. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you guys for watching. I will see y'all later.